is part 3 of our 3-part series. What was the 3 parts again? Abuse, grief, and now love. So joining me today is Jeremy, my fiance.
Hello, everybody.
And so we're going to kind of talk about like how we met and what we've kind of discussed together, what we want for the future for us individually and as a family, and then talk about our pending wedding this fall.
It's coming up quickly.
Yeah. Basic has turned into, oh my God, we still have to figure that out.
There's a lot involved.
Even for basic.
Yes.
So, do you remember the first month that I messaged you on?
I think it was October.
Of 19?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
2020 like totally threw everything askew.
That's very true.
Feels like it's been years.
I know.
So in October, I think 17th.
It was around then. Yeah.
Of October 2019, I saw this really cute guy on. I think you had followed me a little bit before.
I don't think I followed you.
One of us followed somebody, and
No,
then
'cause I think we were just on we had mutual friends.
But I think, I think you were suggested it like to follow because of mutual friends. But then I think I followed you, and then you were showing up on Facebook because they're all interconnected. And on Facebook, it was showing up as someone you might know, add as a friend. And usually I'm like, I don't know that person, hit remove or whatever.
Yeah. But
I was like, oh, his face is kind of cute. So for like 3 days, I'm just like, oh, look at him. And then I messaged you and I was like, hey, try not to be a creep. But I was expecting you to just be like, I'm straight, bro. Like, don't float that way, or I'm not interested, or whatever.
That's definitely not what happened.
So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised that you actually responded back, and we started talking, and it felt very natural.
It did. It did.
Yeah.
So we were texting for 3 days.
Yeah. And it felt like, I remember, like, because normally, like, when you, like, we've all done it, you meet someone, it's like, oh, tell me about yourself. It just feels very, like, forced. And
yeah,
we
had both been through that.
After your 10th year of doing that in life, it gets a little old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't seem like I was repeating myself. It didn't seem like bad vibes like in the past. And yeah, it just felt very natural.
It was very natural from the beginning. Easy conversation. Right away, we wanted to set up a date. And
yeah, because you were leaving your employer at the time and going to go to what you thought were going to be greener pastures, which we now know weren't.
Didn't end up that way.
And I remember because we were going to do a date, but then you wanted to delay it because the next day was going to be your starting day of this new employer. Mm-hmm. And so we were going to delay it by a week, but then, we were talking all the time that we could. Mm-hmm. And we just couldn't wait another week. And we were like, screw it. That's me.
We bumped it up. And I think our first date was the day before I started that job.
Right. Yeah. Because you were going to have to be up early and you wanted to sleep, but then we're just like, oh, screw it. Mm-hmm. And then we met at the High Note. We had dinner. That was really nice.
We did. We haven't been back to the High Note since.
Well, we need to go. With the panini and everything. And now I don't even know what their hours are. They were closing at 6 for a while.
But we had a great dinner. We
were out till like midnight or 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. And then we met the next morning though, right?
We met the next morning.
Because we went walking on the Greenbelt. Mm-hmm. Took some pictures.
A little rainstorm.
That guy was staring at us in the park.
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, what the heck? And then we put on social media. Oh, because you said, you're like, I'm going to update our status on Facebook because I had asked you if I could friend you about a week earlier. And you said you were going to update the status. And I was a little nervous about doing it so quick. And
yeah.
You were just kind of like, let's go.
So on our at the end of our first date, we decided to like make it official, start dating officially. And then we update our status the next morning.
You were trying to tie me down, lock me.
And I would say a lot of people we knew were very surprised because it was very sudden.
Because usually, like, I'm a very methodical person and don't do things on impulse.
You're a Virgo.
So, yeah, usually by the time something is official, I've communicated to people like, oh, I'm seeing this guy or whatever. But
so on that day after, we had just posted it and we were just seeing everyone's reaction, the reaction from your family. Everyone was confused. And
right. Everyone's like, wait, you kept this from me? And we're like, no, like it happened last night.
Yeah, it was just very fast, but
it was good.
Yeah.
And we talked about, so kind of to segue for the first episode, we both had very similar childhoods of fathers who were a little bit ill-suited for the job and all the issues that went with that. Obviously, we're not going to dig into your childhood, but for everyone listening, his was very parallel to mine in a lot of ways. Also, his was a lot better than mine in a lot of ways, but
also worse in a lot of ways.
Yes.
But very similar. We could both relate to each other's experiences.
Exactly. And that was one of the cool things about like our first date was we were walking around downtown Boise and talking, and we started talking about like our crappy fathers and just kind of, what we would want to be like as parents. Mm-hmm. And I think that we really bonded over that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first things that we talked about because we wanted to make sure we were both on the same page before we got into a relationship. So
yeah, because you and I were like, very frankly, we were like kind of done with the whole dating thing. I remember saying like, I was like, oh, isn't this exotic? Like, and we were like, yeah. And I was like, kind of just like want to be like, here's my resume. Are you interested? Like, just very, get it over with.
Yeah.
Because we were both very just tired of, and that's kind of a thing for the gay community, especially around here. Mm-hmm. It's either, everyone slept with everybody else. And so you hear things and they're either true or not or whatever. And I think we were just kind of.
We had both like never heard of each other really.
Even though we've been in the same valley for most of our lives.
Exactly. And we both had similar history with dating, and we had both been single for a long time.
Yeah, 5 years each.
Just working on ourselves, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of in that groove of
kind of just done at that point.
The bachelor life. And and we were both at the point where either we need to meet the person that we're going to marry in the next year, or we need to just be like, screw it, I'm single and live your best life.
Yeah. So, and I think meeting you was, one of the first big, risks I had taken in the past couple of years before that. Because, at that point I was just trying to focus on work and family and stuff. So,
yeah. So, we walked and talked and everything just in person felt as natural as it did when we were talking online, and just it felt right. It's the most right feeling I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, it was very easy.
And even today, like I still get excited that you and I are together. Like you're so cute, and
now we've been engaged since
October of last year. Yeah. So and now we live together, which is nice. Mm-hmm. I still can't believe that for a year, you would come over on your days off. Like we'd see each other like one, maybe 2 nights, one day a week, maybe 2 nights, but one day.
Yeah.
And now we're like with each other after work. I mean, it still feels like not enough time, but like looking back, I'm just like, how did we do that?
I know. Yeah. It's so nice now. We've been in our house. How long? 6, like 9 months now.
Yeah. So since October.
We built a nice little home here.
Nice little space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then this fall on our 3-year anniversary.
2 year.
Oh yeah, the third time that we're recycling this date. So for people that don't know, the date that we started dating, the date that we got engaged, and the date that we're going to get married is the same date. So we don't ever have to be like, oh well, this is X amount of years since we met, and X amount. Well, we still have that date,
right?
But X amount of years since we started dating, and then engaged, and like just one and done.
It just felt very natural to. I mean, well, you proposed to me, so I mean, you chose that date, but
yeah,
it felt like a good time to get engaged.
It did.
We just moved in together.
Yeah,
and then so we got engaged October last year, and we decided to get married October this year.
Yeah,
we're about 4 months out now.
That's crazy. So we had lived here for like 22 days before I engaged.
Yeah,
we got engaged.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy to think that we lived here when we weren't engaged initially. Wow, time flies.
Time does fly.
So, some things that we talked about in terms of like having kids. Let's kind of go over some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you're vegan. And have been for a long time. I'm still a fan of meat occasionally, but I definitely see the unsavory bits about that. So,
and even from the very beginning, you were very open to it. You know, our first date, I recommended an all vegan restaurant, and you were on board. And
yeah, I mean,
so that's never been an issue.
I'm a fan of veggies, so
yeah,
you know, I don't have to eat like the simulated sausage.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan, but I got to try out the vegan foods.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, like, you know, yeah, you can have a nice salad, and I mean, presentation's half the battle anyway. Mm-hmm. But it's arguably much healthier for you.
Yeah.
You don't have all the hormones that, you know, build up in animal tissue. Mm-hmm. And it, quite frankly, like, have you seen the cost of meat lately? Holy crap.
Yeah.
I thought it was expensive, but for something a pound now, it's like $6-7 a pound.
It's just better for the environment. And I think that's something that's important to me to teach my kids is, you know, about animal rights and
sustainable,
just the stuff that we weren't really, you know,
wasn't
information that wasn't available to us when we were growing up.
And you look at like America, it's really built on subsidizing the farmer and agriculture. Yeah. And that did play a role back in its day because we didn't have all the technology and science and manufacturing like we do now.
Yeah.
So yeah, you kind of had to grow a cow on the land, and now land is getting, you know, more of a commodity because there's so many people, and it's better use of the land to grow plants on it.
Yeah.
And you have much quicker turnaround. And you can, you know, a crop can be ready to harvest, you know, in a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Just takes water. But so we both are definitely, and for people that are listening, like Jeremy's not one of those, like I've heard of so many like horror stories. People are like, oh, I have a friend who's vegan, and his wife's vegan and he's not, but his wife absolutely will not allow them to do anything. Like, I'm considerate of Jeremy. Like, I'm not going to just be like, hey, I bought some steaks. You know, I'm not waving meat around when I do choose to eat meat around Jeremy. I'm respectful of his boundaries, but Jeremy's also not one of those like authoritarian types where it's like my way or no way.
Right. I think everyone should eat what they want. And, you know, I just think it's important to have the information, especially for kids, you know, give them the information
and actually know what you're choosing.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the potential ramifications to your health of certain lifestyles.
And I'm not here to say that my lifestyle, I'm better than anyone or anything like that.
Right.
Each person needs to make their own choice, and that's fine.
Yep. So we definitely believe in that. Another aspect in terms of like what we want for our kids is, I feel like for our generation, there was a lot of like push to go to college and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was fortunate where my grandparents on my father's side saved up money and were able to pay for, excuse me, that education, so I didn't have to take out loans and stuff. But at the same time, like, everybody went to college, and now the market is saturated with college degrees, and it's not the magical key like it used to be. So I feel like Jeremy and myself, and possibly even other members of our generation are going to do this too. Not everybody. I don't think it's as widespread as the college thing. But I think Jeremy and I are more interested in investing in our children's health and education during the key developmental years instead of college. If they want to go to college, awesome. We're going to, encourage them to do that. But there are options for them. They can take out the loans. They can do really well in the school and get grants. They can, there's
we want to set them up so by the time they're at that point, they have, all the options that they would want.
We want to give them a brain that is properly fed during growth. We want to teach them another language. I actually even think there was somewhere I saw this and I was like, oh, that is mind blowing. Nobody's taught sign language. And then like say something happens, you lose your hearing, genetic thing, accident, whatever. Suddenly you're like whatever age you are and you have to learn how to sign. And I kind of even think that maybe that'd be a good thing in addition to a foreign spoken language, also teach them sign language. And then that way, if something happens to them themselves, or they fall in love with somebody who's, not able to speak or hear, they can communicate with them. I feel like that would open, but Jeremy and I both agree that educating their kids early enough when they're still in that developmental year, like the Spanish, I remember I learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So I think if, it's a lot more of a cost, and I get that it's not, something that's feasible for everybody, but it's something that Jeremy and I want to share with the world that we believe in. And
I would say I feel like it's something that I missed out on as a kid. I didn't have those. Yes, I took Spanish in school and stuff, but I didn't have a lot of those extracurricular activities, and I just want our kids to have as many opportunities as they can.
Right.
And you have to start when they're really young with a lot of that.
And you have to foster that. Kids don't just, some kids do, but not all kids just have this like desire to learn or be the best that they can be. You have to foster that mindset and education. And I was telling Jeremy a few weeks ago, like something that came to mind was, I remember as a kid, like people were like, oh, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people were like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a cop, whatever. And I remember like thinking like an astronaut, and it's great to support your kids to think like, oh yeah, I want to be an astronaut. And they can be an astronaut. They can do whatever they want. But there's more to the conversation that I feel like never happened in our generation. Like it was kind of like, oh, you're cute. Like go be an astronaut. Yeah, it's like,
great. You want to be an astronaut. But like, how do you get there? What steps are needed to fulfill that,
People that are astronauts like are engineers, they're pilots, they usually go to the Air Force. Like, there's a whole bunch of careers that have to happen before astronaut.
Exactly.
And I feel like that is a very healthy and worthwhile discussion to have. Not to the point where, you definitely have to be careful. You don't want to be like, oh, well, you have to do this, and like to discourage them from getting it.
Of course.
But I think it's important to, have that discussion with your kids and be realistic about, like, yes, you can be an astronaut, but what does it take to get there? And I also feel like I just thought astronauts went up into space, floated around, and had a good old time. They're doing science experience up there.
Yeah.
They're using the weightlessness of space to see how plants grow and to do science experiments and learn things from an environment that frankly we don't have here on Earth. But that just wasn't part of the discussion. Yeah. Anyway, so I feel like Jeremy and I are united on that front, where we not only want the best for each other, we want the best for our kids and our family. And
we want to give our kids what we didn't have.
Exactly. And and that doesn't come down to money. Like I feel like every generation that kind of, if our grandparents were poor, then they, you know, taught our parents money's the way to whatever. And maybe it was for them, but I feel like our generation is realizing that education and mental development and learning that boys can cry and have emotions. And
exactly. I mean, there's so much raising a kid now versus in the early 90s is a whole different game.
Yeah. Much healthier game now, but
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. So, and we'll either do like the adoption thing or a surrogate would be cool, but
yeah, I think we like the idea of adoption.
Yeah.
There's so many kids out there who need homes.
Exactly. And you don't have to be biologically related to your kid to impact their life.
No.
So. And I definitely think if we adopt them, I do want to do as much as we can to learn about, you know, like their heritage. And
right.
If we know who the parents are, great. Like I would like to be able to give them, you know, some like familial medical info and like,
yeah, be
prepared for this, or you might be predisposed to this kind of thing. But
yeah,
again, not to scare them, but
no.
But yeah, I think it's just so exciting to think about like how you can positively mold a young human.
Yep.
And make them into...
It is, and that's one of the first things we talked about when we got together was, do you want kids? Because I think we both been with people who, you know, it might have worked out, but they didn't want the same things.
No.
And if you don't want the same things at this point, we just weren't interested in that.
So. Right. We weren't going to waste our time with another person that was just about being in the moment and being young and dumb. It's like we're getting older and we need to start like locking in a course.
Exactly. And from the time we started dating, we started, you know, working towards building our life together. Exactly. And that's why I think we're, you know, we haven't even been together 2 years, but it feels like we have so much and such a strong connection.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we still do the whole like text back each other and be like, oh, I love you, think about you. Share the same brain waves. And you'll say something, I'll be like, I was just thinking about that.
Yes. Or I know, sometimes I forget it's only been not even 2 years.
Yeah.
It seems crazy.
Yeah. And like, I try to think about like life before you and it just feels so depressing to
I know.
think about that stuff.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, how did we survive without each other?
I don't know.
I love your dog, Nala.
Yes, we have. Yeah, we're all living together now, and you guys have. Yeah, you guys have bonded.
She's such a sweetie.
She is. She's the best.
Where is she?
She's a little crazy, but
is she outside?
I think she might be in her kennel.
In her space,
just relaxing.
Her sanctuary.
Yes.
So Jeremy built this beautiful. This kennel is like 4 times bigger than she actually needs. Like you could put a Great Dane in this thing. Well, maybe not that big, but you could put a very large dog in that crate. Like 5 of her could fit in. She's a smaller dog. But Jeremy has it all like covered in blankets. So it's dark. It's blankets inside. A bed on the side. So she's got a little padded wall.
I want to make it comfortable for her.
She loves going in there.
She does. And before we moved into this house, she's never been kennel trained. And I thought that was going to be, you know, hard to do. She's going to be 10 this year. So, I mean, you don't want to kennel train a 9-year-old dog. But she loves it.
Yeah.
That's her little space.
And I think by not making it a traumatizing thing, you know, you just kind of let her explore it on her own. And now
she loves it.
Yeah. There's days when she's like overstimulated, like from like dogs barking nearby or something else going on. And you're like, oh, you want to go in your kennel? And she's like, yes.
I know. She's waiting.
She doesn't have to be on alert anymore. She's like,
exactly.
This is where I can just let it all go.
She's either in her kennel or she's outside in the sun.
Yes.
Sunbathing. She loves the summer.
Tanning.
Yep.
Although now that it's getting hot, she can't. I think she's still like, doesn't understand heat.
She can't be out there for too long. She'll be out there for like half an hour and she's like, okay, it's too hot. I got to come back inside.
Yeah. And when she wants to come in, she's like, it is hot. Like she's like panting.
Yeah.
She's done.
And then she'll come in for a couple hours and then she wants back out.
And she's like, oh, it's sunshine. Let me back outside. And and then it repeats the cycle again.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh my God.
But she definitely loves you.
Yes. She's a cutie. Yeah. I still wonder how her and Cedric would have gotten along.
I know.
I think that initially they would have probably bumped heads, but by now they'd be cuddle
been
buddies.
Best friends. They would be cuddling in that kennel together.
Oh, yeah. And he would have fit in there too, perfectly. Both of them could have fit in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she'd be like, "Oh, you're all fuzzy. I can wrap up in you." But
yeah, they would have been friends, but they never got to meet.
Yeah, Cedric, if you paid attention to episode number 2, passed away in April of last year. Yes,
so it was right before, about 6 months before we moved in together.
Yep, and 6 months after we started dating.
Yeah, and they just hadn't got together.
Yeah,
so
because she was in Nampa and
living
out her best basement life. I wonder if they can hear the bird chirping.
Our birds love our backyard. We just put up our bird feeder.
I love our backyard. So we're in a rental, but we've definitely made it our own space. Like
it's been a process. Because we moved in here, so we moved in October. We didn't have any furniture. We really didn't have much. We both kind of purged a lot of our stuff before we moved in.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of new stuff, and it's been a process trying to get it all together. We just got the last piece of our furniture, a month ago?
Yeah.
So
the dining table that we're recording this on.
Yes. So it's been a while, but it's all coming together. I think we're finally.
Well, and we even bought the first basic set. Like, oh crap, we need somewhere to sit and eat, and so we bought some good stuff. But
yeah, we didn't have a couch. We didn't have a kitchen table. Like when I say we didn't have anything, we didn't have anything.
No.
We had our desks. Well, you didn't even have a desk yet.
No. We just had a bunch of boxes.
Bed. We had your bed and a dresser, and
yeah,
it was very empty in here for a while. But
it was.
We had no plants when we moved in.
Yeah, now we're up to 35?
I mean, last I counted, it was somewhere around there.
35 and only 2 casualties?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we bought some first starter furniture that looked really good and was great for like really basic living. But then it was like, well, this couch isn't big enough for 2 of us to lay and watch a movie. It's not that comfortable.
It was horrible.
So we sold everything and spent some big boy money and invested on some new furniture that got a nice bedroom set. That's the first time I've ever had a bedroom set to sleep on.
Yeah, me too. It's really nice furniture.
Mix and match.
Shout out to Scandinavian Designs.
Non-paid promotional. And it was really cool too to like have the ability to pay for all that in cash and not have to be like, oh, well, we have this huge loan that we have to pay off every month or whatever. So
yeah, it all came together.
# financial stability.
Yes. Another thing that we want to teach our kids.
Yes. You can have great things. You just need to be wise about how you get them and kind of tame down that urge to get it right away and throw it on credit. And I think even like when we bought stuff when we first got together, our style even changed. And we went from kind of a big box store, this looks good, to let's get something a little bit more better built and timeless.
Yeah. Well, we want something that's going to last.
Exactly.
I think that was the main thing.
Yeah. And we were tired of build it yourself flat pack furniture.
Yeah.
When you hit 30, you just kind of don't want to build another bookshelf.
I don't ever want to build any furniture again.
And for all those out there listening, we rented a U-Haul and moved things ourselves. That too is a way of the past.
Yes, that was a mistake.
We thought that was going to be like 2-hour process.
I thought we would be moved in 4 hours. I was like, I don't have any stuff really. I have a couple pieces of furniture, boxes, clothes, that kind of stuff. But I was like, oh, we don't have a lot of furniture. It's not going to be that bad. And that moving took us all day.
Took us like 6. Yeah. I thought we were going to have the truck back by like 6 p.m. I was like, oh, no worries. And thankfully there wasn't any extra charge for keeping it later, but we didn't get that truck back till like midnight.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And our back, we hurt our backs.
horrible.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, you could barely walk for like a week. It was horrible. And then at the end of it, we're like, why didn't we just hire movers?
Yeah, because I remember my coworker was like, "Oh, we hired movers for like $300 and put everything in the biggest, worst box possible. We just got it packed, and it wasn't our bags we were throwing out." And I was like, "That's genius."
Yeah.
So we are never moving ourselves again. We're just going to pack everything up in a box and be like, "Come move us."
Yep. It'd be a lot easier.
It will.
I
And well, now like all of our furniture is actually like well built.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to move this, throw this in a U-Haul.
No, heck no. Yeah, this stuff needs to be wrapped.
Yeah.
And
But
padded.
hopefully we're not moving anytime soon.
Anyway, so we've made the yard all nice and the house nice, and it's one of the first times in my life. I mean, I've always had at least somewhere to go that I've always enjoyed, but it's just nice having like my home space be somewhere that I look forward to being.
It
my
is.
days off after work, being with you.
We've both found what we like doing around the house. You know, you're really good with the yard work and, you know, getting the yard all fixed up and mowed and watered and the sprinklers and everything. And
You're really good with
I don't do any of that.
indoor stuff.
Yeah. I don't even know how the sprinkler system works.
Yeah.
But
That
that's
to me is all second nature because my stepdad taught me about a lot of that. And
Yeah.
my grandparents on both sides taught me stuff too. So, and I'm very mechanically minded.
Yes, that is true.
So what else do we want to talk about?
I don't know.
We're just kind of shooting in the breeze and just seeing how far we can go. We're only at 31 minutes. This might not be 2 hours. Let's just shoot for an hour then. So let's talk about our wedding
Yes.
this fall. What we were going to start out with, originally I think our first guest list was like 5 each.
It's very small. So we both decided we want, you know, when we got engaged, COVID was still really bad. It was before the vaccines. Because
There were
of that, we
limitations
wanted,
on gatherings.
yeah, we wanted a small wedding already, but due to that, we wanted to keep it really small.
And we didn't want to do the whole like just go to the courthouse and get married
Yeah.
because, you know, it's our only marriage. That's what we're aiming for. But also being both of us, it's the first time either one of us has ever been married. So we want it to be a special, memorable moment
Yeah.
for ourselves. And, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to the courthouse, but I'd like something a little bit better than some judicial dais behind us.
True. And when we got engaged, we had a year to plan. It felt we were very, you know,
Young
we had
and
all the
naive.
time in the world, and now, what is it, June? And we have till October, and there's still a lot that we need to figure out.
We did finally ditch the idea of renting a space because it was just, we were looking at spaces. They were like $1,500 for
Yeah.
maximum of 250 people, which there's no way in heck we're going to be that high.
No, we don't want that many people.
I think
It's going to be a very small,
we
intimate
expanded, and I think now we're up to like under 50.
wedding. Yeah.
But and even if like we have other people helping, like there's no way we're gonna even max out. We're gonna have more than 75.
Right.
So yeah, we wanted something kind of small. We decided that we're gonna do our wedding at a park, a local park that we like.
We need
That's
to figure out.
very nature-y.
Yes.
No playgrounds, so there shouldn't be as much family activities in the park as well.
Yeah. It's a beautiful little space that, you know, we've both been going to our whole life. So.
Bird sanctuary, very Idaho nature-y.
Yeah. And then we decided to just do the reception at our house.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've spent so much time, you know, building this house and getting furniture and, you know.
It's not like the most perfect backyard, and obviously we don't own it. Like if we owned it, like I would totally make this yard much better. But it's a nice little space that we enjoy, and yeah, we should show off to our family and friends the little space that we enjoy coming home to.
Yeah. And, you know, we don't need to have the perfect space. I think the stress of planning a perfect wedding has definitely got to me. It's very stressful. But I think at the end of the day, we're both just,
I can't
we just want to
believe
make a day that we both enjoy and our family enjoys. And
right. I can't believe that there's people that spend like $40,000 for a wedding.
I mean, if we had it.
I mean, it's maybe, but at the same time, like there's a certain level of wedding where it's just like even as a guest, when you go to a wedding, if it's like super over the top, it's like, who are they trying to impress?
I mean, you want to, I get it. And if that's what people want, that's great. But that's not what I want.
It's not what I want.
A simple, we're
nice
just there to declare our love for each other, share that experience with our family and the people we love. And, that's it. It's, I think there's so much pressure in society to, from the very beginning, from the engagement has to be perfect. And then, every step along the way.
Viral YouTube moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to have this huge wedding and you have to, have the perfect food, have the perfect cake. And it's just, it all adds up.
The best pictures and
everything. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure from society. Then if you don't have these things, you feel like you're missing out. And me personally, I've never really wanted all of that. I've never thought I would. It wasn't the path that I wanted to go down. I've always wanted something smaller. I always liked the idea of eloping. I always thought that was just simple,
I definitely, I've been to a lot of nice weddings that I like. They've been nice, but yeah. The more I've seen it, and it's like, oh, this one's like the last one. Like, oh, live, laugh, love.
And I also have only been to 2 weddings. I went to my aunt's wedding in Vegas when I was like 10. I barely remember it. And we went to a wedding last year, like an at-home backyard wedding. And that's all I've been to. So I really, don't have much experience. I've never been in a wedding party. It's a lot of stuff that you've done.
I was a groomsman for a friend's wedding.
Yeah.
When the cousin of the bride couldn't show up last minute, and the groom was like, "Hey, my fiance recommended you as being someone dependable." So I took the day off and did their wedding.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But I also don't want a very traditional wedding.
Right.
Because
we're a non-traditional family.
We're very untraditional. And I just think a lot of the things that are expected of a wedding are just, it's just a lot of people just do it because of tradition. And I don't like that. I would rather just, have our day that we like.
My mom was even telling me that back in the day, you weren't even necessarily in charge of who all came to your wedding. My mom said that a lot of times in her generation that like a lot of like your parents' friends would be invited. Like the grandparents are basically inviting their friends to come. Like it was like a whole like spectacle. Mm-hmm. And that kind of adds to the whole showing off and being like, oh, look how well our family is doing.
Right. And and a lot of, and it is a day for your family. So I understand that, but I think for us, it's a day for us. And yes, we want all of our family to be a part of it and there, but we're not doing it for them. We're doing it for us. And
we bring in, it is a time for our family, but we're also bringing in family that are actually part of our lives and not just all the extended cousins, just so that there's some like talking spectacle points. Mm-hmm. So
our families are great.
Yeah, I love your mom.
I know.
And your brother. I love your mom. And your sister.
I love both of our families. Everyone's very chill. It's just going to be a great day.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. But there are just a lot of details to go over still.
Right.
And finding the time to do all that is.
I feel like our biggest issue right now is like, I feel like we're good with the locations and stuff. I feel like we can do the reception here and the wedding there. But I feel like the biggest hurdle that like I'm still like the most apprehensive is the food.
The food, yeah.
Who's prepping it? How's it gonna get here? How's it gonna stay cold? How's it gonna stay hot?
If anyone has any suggestions, we would love to hear them.
Yes, some bulk catering needs for vegan appetites.
Yeah.
And thankfully, too, my family, like, we're not vegan, but they're very open to it. They, like, my mom's learned how to make vegan brownies and cakes and stuff for you.
Like,
Like,
those brownies are so good.
my sister, Neva's done things.
Your family has been so sweet. So, because you never know when you meet, you know, you just never know. Some people just give you crap for it. And your family has been so nice, you know.
Right.
Yeah, Neva making her homemade whipped cream for me last Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Your mom making brownies. They always
Mom
have Beyond
learning how
Burgers
to-
on hand.
She modified grandma's potato salad recipe to make a vegan version.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't have the awesome egg bits in it, but
that's okay.
but yeah, it's so cool. And then, like, obviously your family is just naturally vegan, and like everyone over there is vegan. So
Yeah, so food, there's just a lot to figure out.
yeah,
Which can be overwhelming and stressful, but
and some
we're
of it,
slowly getting there.
some of it, I feel like is pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel like we shouldn't, but at the same time, there is legit pressure of we do need to have a plan.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to understand why people stay engaged for years and
Just avoid that discussion, that hot mess called marriage.
I mean, I think it's easier when you can just hire a wedding planner and have them figure everything out, and you have a huge budget, and
Yeah, if you're
it's
like
going to be this huge thing, but
some
trying to figure out a smaller, intimate wedding that has all the pieces that you want is challenging.
it is
But
definitely
and time is just speeding by.
exactly. Yeah,
We both work full time, and
holy cow! In this
there's
house, just living here has added like I mow the yard every week, and just like I feel like
there's just. I mean, I think everyone's feeling this, but there's just more and more, especially after COVID. I just feel like there's no time.
Yeah.
There's just no time to get everything done.
I feel like we don't even have a lot of time to like. It's like, oh, you want to watch something? Like, oh, I'm tired. Like we're
both exhausted.
Like we have a beautiful living room, and we, that our biggest complaint was that we didn't have a good couch to sit on and watch something. And then now we have everything, and it's kind of like,
Let's go sleep.
Let's go lay on the bed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just did get a new bed, and it's wonderful.
It is very nice.
So,
shout out to Purple, another non-paid sponsor thing, bit, whatever. But yeah, I'm looking forward to everything. Like I enjoy having you in my life, and
right back at you.
So I definitely feel like Cedric handed me off to you, and
yeah,
he knew what good hands I'd be in. So.
Yeah, he did. I miss him.
Yeah, but all right. Well, that wasn't quite 2 hours of content like the past episodes, but I feel like we talked about everything. Talked about us falling in love.
Yeah, it's been
tied in
really
our
good
childhood.
Yeah.
To why we're so compatible with each other, how it's shaped our wishes for our own family that we're hopefully going to be starting in the next 2 years.
Yeah. Then we can have a family podcast.
Yay. We're going to have to buy some more microphones.
Yeah. But it's been nice being on the podcast, and I'm excited to, I think we should do more episodes together.
I think we should too. Like I really enjoyed talking to you. Like we have some great conversations in the car. Like I feel like the listeners would love that. Like if we had kind of like some of that like
car cast.
Ooh, I like that car cast. The Everett car cast. We should record some conversations in the car.
Yeah, can we haul all this into the car?
Well, the sound quality might suffer a tad, but we could just get some good mobile microphones.
True.
But I feel like you and I have some good like political conversations, and I feel like we have some good exchanges that would very easily fill up a podcast.
Yeah. And I don't know. I've really enjoyed this 3-part series, and if you guys haven't listened to episode 1 and 2, I would recommend it.
And just for people that are not aware, episodes stay up for 90 days and then they expire automatically.
Yep.
If I had a sponsor that wanted to, sponsor $12 a month, we could make it so that the podcasts stay up indefinitely.
Yeah.
But that is an ongoing cost. So until I have somebody wanting that, then we'll just let them drop off after 90 days.
Yep. But for anyone new who's listening, check out what you can, what's still available to listen to. And, you can always send an email or text if you have ideas for future episodes.
Yeah. You can also connect on our social platforms on Instagram at Everett Podcast, Twitter at Everett Podcast, Facebook.com/Everett Podcast is a page. There's also a discussion group called Everything with Everett Discussions.
Yeah.
And lots of ways to kind of weigh in. And the discussion group, I feel like we keep that alive pretty well with current stuff. Yeah.
And the episode, someone was asking today, like, what is the podcast about? And the name kind of gives it away. It's about everything. So if, this episode wasn't your cup of tea, just hearing about us,
right.
There's always,
there's something else. Yeah. I talked about Rush Limbaugh a few weeks ago, months ago. I think that one just dropped off. But yeah, I do kind of like that they drop off after 90 days because it kind of forces it to stay fresh. And I kind of like that someone can't go back and be like, oh, let me listen to something from July of 2020.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think some people like that. The last podcast that I listened to was a podcast about surrogacy, and it was called The Gayest Show on Birth, and it was a great podcast if anybody wants to listen to it. But it was from years ago, and I went back. I think a lot of people do like. I know you don't listen to as many podcasts as I do, but I think people I love starting at episode 1 and binging.
And I feel like on something like that where you're actually using it as like a book.
Right.
And doing chapters and having a structure and an end goal and like it's a complete product. Great.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. But I don't feel like my podcasts are quite to that level. Should we keep talking until Nala decides to bark at us to tell us she wants to go outside?
She wants to go outside.
She's like, I want to be part of your outro. Yeah. I want you to mention me. So I like this. I like that your voice sounds great, baby. On the podcast, I think that we should make this a thing and have the two of us kind of just chat about some stuff. And
I think we should have more guests on the show. And
and if you're out there and you want to you can also on your own time, if you have something that you want to say and provide kind of a listener feedback, you can always call 208-391-2808. Leave a voicemail. We can play that file and edit out if you want to say something and then be like, all right, from here on I can edit it to where it's just what you want. But yeah, we want this to be an interactive thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have anything you want to say,
jump on in.
Send it our way.
So anyway, thanks for joining me. It's been fun to have your voice on here and talk to you.
Thank you.
Nala, do you want to bark us out?
You want to say something, baby?
She's like, let me outside.
Okay.
She's like, why would I bark when you guys are just sitting inches away? All right. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yes.
And thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Everything with Everett with Jeremy Dennis, soon to be Jeremy McConaughey, in 4 months.
4 months.
4 months?
Yeah.
Damn.
We'll have to do an update. We should do an update after the wedding.
We should
talk about that.
Life after marriage.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and hope you have a great rest of your week. As always, it's been a pleasure.